Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we start a new project. As you can see, I have a 69 Ford Talladega sitting in front of me, and this is what we're going to be working on. And it's going to have numbers on it just like this, except it's going to be different. It's going to be 43 instead of 53. So if you don't know where we're going with this build, yes, we're going to make a Richard Petty NASCAR out of it. And you know, I just did and it's going to be a raffle just like the bone shaker was. I did a black bone shaker. I'll try to remember to put the link up top so you can check it out if you like. But I made an Earnhardt bone shaker. You know, it turned out pretty cool. But this one's going to be Richard Petty, and it also is going to be a raffle car. You know, look, and the Richard Petty blue will look really good with the card art that I've selected. Rather than just getting any Talladega, this one will look really good with this color. So the next step we need to do is try to get it out of the pack. So let's get it out. Alright, I've got the solution on here, and you can see it's starting to change the color of the card as it soaks through. So we'll just give it a second and we'll work with it real gentle. Start at the corners because that's normally where it breaks loose first. And if it doesn't work, we can always go back and add some more. So we'll just keep tugging in it real gently because we don't want to separate any of the artwork from the card if we can help it. So we'll just keep tugging on it, and eventually it'll work itself loose. But you can see it's slowly starting to pull. Like I said, we can always add more because there's always a little bit left over in the brush. So you just brush it on, let it sit for a second or two, and eventually it starts giving way. And it's great that you can do this because you can actually put the car back in and not mess anything up. But there you go, the car's free. Now I'm going to take it and stick something in it so it doesn't reseal itself. I always stick something in there to keep it from sticking back, because as it sits and dries it'll re-stick itself. But here's the car. It's really cool looking. I like the way it looks. I like the colors. I like the decals. I like the wheels. But all that's going away. It's all going to get new. New tires, wheels, paint, everything. And I actually have some NASCAR cars that I took the wheels off of, and I'm going to try to see if I can make one of the interiors work in that, because you know, this car has 2 seats, and NASCAR doesn't run 2 seats, they run 1 seat. So I'm going to try to make it correct, and that way it'll have a roll bar in it and all that stuff. But like I said, we're going to change the wheels and everything. So let's get this bad boy apart. As always, we're going to take a little bit of oil, put it on the post. It serves 2 purposes. It keeps the drill bit cool, and it keeps it lubricated so the drill bit stays sharp. I can't tell you how many cars I've drilled apart with this one drill bit. Same one I drilled my first one apart. But you know, you're just going to take it and take your drill bit and try to go in as straight as you can and drill it out. I always start with the small drill bit first because I drill it down a little bit, and what happens is that allows the head removal process to go a lot better when you use the bigger drill bit. Yeah, for whatever reason it just does. You drill it down a little bit, like I said, right down the middle, and then you switch the bit out, put the big bit on, and it takes that head right off. But the base looks pretty good. You know, they did a good job dealing with plastic and everything. And then we have the interior, and as like I said, you can see it's got 2 seats and a back seat. So you know, NASCAR doesn't allow passenger riding during a 200-mile-an-hour race. So we're going to try it. I don't know if I can get it to work, but we're definitely going to try it. I may end up cutting the roll bar out and putting it in this body. I don't know. But we've got the plastic glass and everything. That's got to come out. And you know, it's new, so there's no scratches, no pitting or anything in it. And here's the body. This is definitely going to change. We're going to put some screws in it. I've already drilled this out, so the drill bit that I use I don't have to tap because it's just the right size. You can tap it if you want to. That's totally up to you. But I have found that I don't need it, and you know, it's just one of those things. And the reason I use screws is it holds together. I don't have to worry about it coming apart. But a second thing is it helps keep the debris and citrus strip and all that stuff, decals, paint, out of the screw holes. And it also allows me to put the car together and take it apart as many times as I want. But you know, if you were run around the racetrack, you run off the track, you into the grass, you know what kind of mess that causes. And it's no different here in North Carolina. You know, with the rain and stuff, it gets very, very soggy. And when a car runs off the track, it gets stuck up all the way. And that's no different here. That's exactly what happened with this car. Ran off the track and got stuck, buried up all the way, as you can see. But we'll see it tomorrow. We'll work on this bad boy tomorrow, take it out, check for molding lines, casting lines, all that good stuff, and take care of them then. But we need to assign a container for this. While that's in there, or while I'm waiting to prime it or whatever, I'll check the interior and I'll swap out the wheels. Well, I'm sorry, let me take it back. I'll check the interior and take the wheels off, because these wheels aren't staying, but I first have to prime and paint this. I may drop it in the super clean and then prime and paint it that way, or I may just prime and paint it, because the whole thing's gonna get clear coated. Once I clear coat it, everything's locked in. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be a day or two, I'm sure, because I've got a bunch of other ones that I'm actually in the process of working on. So, but it won't be long, and we'll get this bad boy going, because I need to get it moving down the road. Alright, we've got this bad boy out of the stripper, and I tell you what, this has got to be one of the worst castings I've seen. I mean, just look at that. I'll try to insert a picture, but it's like, I don't know, it's just like the metal just melted in and didn't fit the form just right. I mean, it just looks horrible, and it looks even worse on that side. Look at it. Hope it's coming through. I'll try to remember to put a photo in. But we're going to do like normal and hit all the grooves with all the joints and stuff, because you can see there's paint residue and citrus strips and stuff like that left in there. So we're going to hit all that with the brush and come back and see how it looks after that. Generally, just going over it with the brush will knock a lot of stuff off, and it will actually reveal a lot of stuff too. The more you do to these things, the more that actually needs to be done. And at some point you have to decide, you know, how much is too much. But you can already see the difference between that and that, how good it looks. Now let's see what we get when we hit the front. Now you can see it really good. I mean, it's just, I can run my finger over it and it catches. It's like it was done in layers, and it's actually a bed spot right there to catch your finger. I don't know what it is, but we're going to work on it. We're going to have to do some filing and sanding, so let me finish this with the brush and then we'll come right back to it. Alright. As you can see, that made a huge difference in the way the car looks overall. But right there is a very sharp point. I'm going to have to get rid of that, because that will cut you. If you didn't know any better, you'd swear that's the antenna mount, but but you can see all the pitting and the scratching and stuff on there now. I mean, it's just, it's ungodly, and it's really the worst I've ever seen. So we're going to start with some sandpaper and sand her down. And I'm going to hit it with some 80 grit just to see how that goes. Don't really need to hit, well, yeah, I do too. It's kind of rough too. Man, this whole body is just rough. I'm not looking for perfection, because the primer and paint will fill in a lot of it. But there's just so much pitting on this car. I've been sanding on this thing for a good 5 minutes now. You can see it's finally starting to flatten out and get rid of some of those pits. I'm not going to be able to get rid of all of them, but I'll get rid of most of them. And then we need to definitely work on this front. I'm not going to mess with this area in here much. But I'm going to try to knock out a few more of those right there. And then of course I'm going to try to take care of the front. Or the rest of it I think the primer will take care of. Alright, as you can see, most of those are gone. Most of them. At least I hope you can see it. I mean, it was a mess, but look at that. Now we get to start on that and see what we can do with that. I got to be real careful not to take this body line on the side away. As you can see, I had to break the file out. I wasn't getting, I mean, it was working, but my God. As you can see, most of it's gone now on that top body panel. I just got to sand away the filing marks, but I'm going to try to get that and try to work with that right there. And as I've been sitting here thinking about it, the more I think about it, the more I don't need that light and the more I don't need the door handle on here either, because this is a race car and race cars don't need that stuff. You can see I already hit the back. So I'm going to go ahead and just file off that door handle and the side markers. And here you can see I've filed off the door handle and the side markers, because like I said, race cars don't have it. I wish that I had the correct body filler and I could fill in the door cracks and everything, but I just don't. But what we're going to do now is go back over it one more time with the 80 grit and, you know, just make sure everything's the way it needs to be. Then we'll hit it with 325. It'll be ready for primer, but I still have to wash it in soap and water, still have to hit it with the degreaser, and then I still have to hit it with the 91% alcohol to take everything off, leave a nice clean finish. And we'll get that taken care of, and the next time you'll see this, we'll be ready to put primer on it. Alright, time to prime some of this stuff up. So what we're going to be using today is white Autoborn sealer, and the reason we're using white, it says reduce 10%. White sealer. The reason we're going to be using white is because we want the colors to pop. We're going to be using an orange, we're going to be using a blue, so in a light blue, not a dark blue. So we want these colors to pop. If we put them over gray, that would make the colors look a little bit duller, a little bit flatter. And if we put them over black, that's going to make them look even that much more darker. And one of these days I'm going to show you side-by-side comparison on a white spoon, on a gray spoon, and on a black spoon. But for today, we're just going to use the white Autoborn sealer, like I said, because we're using light colors for the paint. I already shook this up pretty good. I don't think we'll need any more than that after I add the sealer to it, the reducer to it. Now we're just going to mix it up. And we'll just check it, We want it a little thicker than water, but we don't want it as thick as chocolate. They say the consistency of milk, but what is that? You just have to use your own judgment. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to mix this up, and if we think it's pretty good, you can tell by, when you tilt it over in the cup, it moves pretty quick. So I could actually add just a hair more paint to that and be just fine. But I don't want to add too much because I don't want to waste. So that should be just fine. We're going to mix this up real good. Let it set for a minute or two while we get everything set up, and then we'll get the paint. Alright, we got everything set up outside, so now we're going to add the paint, or sealer rather, and that should be enough to do 10 cars. But that's okay. That is okay. Put the cap on it because I'm going to be doing all kind of crazy stuff. Alright, it's that time. Let's get this bad boy painted. Now, it's going to be Petty Blue. And Petty Blue is different than Gulf Blue. Gulf Blue is a lighter shade, a little bit on the yellow side. Petty Blue is a darker blue. And Createx doesn't have a color called Petty Blue. There's other companies that do, but I don't have it. And, I might as well just try to make my own. So I have a dark opaque blue and I have the white. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some blue in, and then we'll lighten it up until we get close to what we think we need. I have a picture over on the computer screen of the car, so I have a pretty good idea, plus in my mind I know about what Petty Blue looks like. Will it be perfect? No, but it'll be close enough to where it really will not matter. So let me get this shaken up and we'll be right back. Got it shaken up. Now let's see what we get. Got it all over me. Yeah. Look at that. Trying to rush, got a lot of stuff I need to get done today. I got this car, I'm going to try to put the stripe down the side of that car, working on these cars, you know, lots going on. Well, let's put some blue in here. Enough to paint one car, and we're going to be adding some white so that volume will change. And it looks like it needs to be thinned down just a little bit, so I might put some thinner in it, just a hair, because that's a little thicker than milk. Alright, that's 4 drops. Let's see what we get. Trying to stay out of the way so you can see it mix. It's funny, it doesn't take but just a little bit of paint to make a difference in the color. That lightened it up, but we need to go pretty good bit, so let's go 8 drops. Eight drops. Definitely getting a lot closer. Mix this up real good and see what we got. Still not quite there. We're close, but we're not quite there. Alright, as you can see, got it mixed up. It's very close. Like, it's not going to be perfect, but it is very close. And this is what we're painting. I wanted to get some of the stuff and put on the door cracks to get rid of them, but I didn't have time. I'm trying to get this done as well as other projects, so we'll skip that for now. I always start off with my bases, as you know. I blow them off with air first. Nothing in there. And it says 40 to 50 pounds. We're at about 27 because I've got this thinned down. So let's pour it in and see what happens. I mean, it might go well, it might go bad. But this is a 0.5 needle, so. Yeah, that's a little thick. Still a little thick, but we'll give her a whirl. Light coats as always. Rotate it so you get all the different nooks and crannies. And we'll just start with that, come back to it, move on to the body, which is what everybody will see. I've never tried Createx opaque paint, and I gotta tell you, I'm very pleased with it so far. Very pleased. Goes on real smooth. And I'm not worried about full coverage right now, I'm just trying to get it on there, but I'd say that's a pretty freaking close match, wouldn't you? Well, let's let that dry for a minute and we'll hit the base. Now we're going to concentrate on all the nooks and crannies, the wheel wells, everything. A little bit heavier coat. I'd say that's good. Once we clear coat that, it will pop. Man, yes. I like that color. Now we're giving the body a minute to dry, to flash. That paint goes on super great. I am very impressed with it. Now it's still a little bit darker than Petty Blue, I think, just by a touch, but I really like this color. I like the way it's coming out. I like the way it's laying down. Next time you see this, we'll be in with the decals, because now I gotta clean everything up. Yay! Best part of a airbrush to clean up. Alright, last time you saw this bad boy, it was, I had just painted it the blue. Well, now I have put a coat of clear on it. And there's several reasons I do that, but we'll get to that in a second. But look at how good this color looks. Man, this looks gorgeous. It's a little bit darker than the true Petty Blue, but it is very, very close. Now, with that stated, the reason I put clear on here now, because this is getting decals, because it's going to be a raffle car and it's going to be a Richard Petty car, as I stated earlier. Now, the reason I put the clear on here is because with decals, it just it gives the decals a slicker surface to work on, and it just makes everything smoother for the decals. Like if you had a lot of orange peel and stuff in your paint, the decals, and you put the decals on that, it would conform to the orange peel and it just wouldn't look good. So that's why I do it. Now, as far as the decals, I have them right here, and I have never dealt with this person before, but they're really the only one on eBay that I could, or anybody really, that I could find that had these readily available for the Talladega. And they're just a little bit different than all the photos that I have seen, but let me show you what we got. Here we go. Of course, we got the right, the left side, the top, the hood, and the rear quarters. Now, the rear quarters is where the difference is, because most of the photos that I have seen of the actual Talladega that he drove, it had a Tennessee sponsor on the rear quarters. In other words, back here, it had a Tennessee sponsor. But the decals that you can buy has the 7-Up, which will go down here. I mean, it's no big deal, but anyhow, I'm going to take these out. I'm going to cut them up, get them ready for us to put on. Like I said, I've never dealt with this person before. I don't know how good quality they are. I hope they do really good. We'll see. And yeah, let's just go from there, shall we? Alright, I got them all cut out, and man, do we have a gaggle of them. And we actually have quite a few left over, as you can see right here. I'm going to save those for other projects. You never throw any decals away. But the main thing that I wanted to get was the rear part. And that's for, like, he drove a couple different cars, but the one that I'll insert the picture, but the one that I'm going after is the one that's in the picture. It doesn't have the 7-Up on the back. It doesn't have the 429. It has the 427 in it. And, you know, a few other little odd and end things, but you get the picture of where we're going. So that's actually where I'm going to start. I'm going to start on that rear quarter panel back there and put the Tennessee motors back there, which is right here. I know you can't see it, but it's going to go something like right there, and then I'm going to try to put the Ford logo up underneath it. So here goes nothing. I'm going to use my micro set to help with everything sticking. I've never had any issues with it, but I like using it just so it gives it that extra little bit of everything it needs to make the decals stick real good. Let me get my tweezers, because these decals can get really small and they're hard to deal with your fingers. But that's going to go in there just about right there. Yeah, these decals are okay. I'm not 100% happy with them because I just noticed already that if you're not careful, they can rub off some of the ink, and I'm not happy with that at all. Now let's see if I can get this Ford logo on there, but it's going to go right there. Just like that. Yeah, it looks pretty good, just like that. I'm going to let that be. Now I'm going to take a dry Q-tip and just lightly kind of dab everything. Make sure there's no bubbles or anything behind anything, or water. And then we'll move on to the next one, which will be the number. And the number goes about where the door handle would be, so it goes somewhere right in there. So just wet it down again, micro set. Get it where you want it. And I think it was up just a hair. Now, going by the photo, it's about right where it should be. That shadow line should be right on that body line, so I'm going to leave it right where it's at. And you can see the outline of the clear paper. Very good, I know. But that's where the second part of this formula comes in. But it's looking good so far. Look at that. Man, yeah, it's starting to take shape. Now I'm not going to show you how to do the whole car. I'm going to show you how to do this one side and the top, and I won't show you the other side just because it's all repetitive. So now for the roof. Now just so if you've never looked at NASCAR, never paid attention to NASCAR or anything like that, the numbers, the way they do them, still trying to get this just the way I want it. Yeah, there we go. And the second part will make that roll right over. So as the car goes around, the number on the top from the front side appears backwards. In other words, it faces to the infield. The reason for that is when this car is on the back stretch, they want to be able to score the cars as they're running and everything. So if it's backwards, if it's turned like this, going down the back, it's really hard for them to know what car is what. So they actually turn it so that when they're going down the back stretch, they can see the car. Because when it's coming around this way, they can clearly see the number. When it's going in the front stretch, they can see, but with it being so far away and everything, they need a larger number, and they turn it around backwards like this, or to face the driver's side so that they can see it from the back stretch, on the back stretch. So that's why they do that. So now let's get that bad boy ready to put on there. And I tell you what, the instant you put that 43 on there, the car takes on a life of its own, doesn't it? Come on now. Don't do me that way. There we go. Make sure it's halfway straight. Work any bubbles you see from the inside out. It looks like it's pretty straight. Alright, let's get this thing put back together. As you can see, I painted the base blue, of course, and I put the NASCAR rims on it. But I also painted the inside of the rims a dark blue, because if you go back and look at the photos that I posted, you can see that the rims are dark blue. And I just figured I'd add an extra little touch. You know how it is. But we're going to get this bad boy put back together. You see it rolls really well and everything. But all we've got left to do is put it back together. What I didn't do any detailing to the interior, but I did put a small roll cage with the window net on it right here, as you can see. Painted it blue. And got the glass, and that's really all we need. A couple screws, and we're going to stick this bad boy back together. And it goes together real simple, but I didn't do any detail to the back, but I did do the headlights. And the decal kit actually come with the numbers to go on the headlights, but they were so small I didn't feel like putting them. And you know, I'm not trying to do an exact replica anyway. I'm just trying to do a custom homage to the King, if you will. But I'm going to stick the interior back in, and I'm going to put the glass on it and drop the body on it and put it back together. And this thing will be ready for the final reveal. I'm going to put it back in the pack. I'm going to seal it back up, but not before I do a quick little video montage, or photo montage, if you will, showing what I actually did to it as it goes around, and you can see everything. Hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you all so very much for watching.